Welcome to CTV News Your Canada. It is Monday, June the 30th. We'll bring you profiles of fascinating Canadians and stories about your community. Thanks for watching.
Combine their years in education, and these two French teachers have dedicated 73 years to students. Although today is the last day in the classroom for Philomena de Oliveira and Vivian Boehm.
Oh, I thank you, Phil. We've been very fortunate to be brought together at the end of our career.
Yes, very good. 9 et 10. Qui est un A?
This is de Oliveira's grade 5 class. She's been teaching for 39 years, almost all of it at St. Rose of Lima in Mississauga with the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board. She says it's been an honor to serve in her role, the school a second home.
It's bittersweet to leave such a wonderful learning community such as ours. It is a truly wonderful place to come every morning.
Just what's this one?
This is Boehm's grade 6 class. She's been teaching at the school for the last 7 years and is retiring after 34 years in education.
I think it's rewarding. I think it's exciting to see when students really do turn on that little light bulb of excitement for you and that idea comes up.
Both say they've been part of big changes during their time in the classroom, especially on the digital side of things. But seeing the joy of learning in children has stayed the same.
I'm going to miss the interaction with the students. I find that just the day-to-day, you come in as the teacher, but you end up learning more from the kids.
I'm going to miss the children, of course. Doing all sorts of activities with the children and watching them learn and develop, and not only academically, but also socially and spiritually.
De Oliveira and Boehm say they're ready for the next chapter and taking it on with great memories. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
This school year was a bit of a slam dunk for many of the 150 mature students, like Stephanie Toriani.
We do math, English, and French, and we have exams as well.
Was it tough?
Yes, but I passed.
Part of the Lester B. Pearson School Board, the Place Cartier Adult Education Center also offers work training and other vital courses for people 17 years and up living with disabilities who put together their own graduation party today.
Events like this kind of show how they can, plan a party, animate it. They bring their positive attitudes and their amazing ideas.
I'm proud of myself for doing a stage. This last school year was really great.
Well, this is a party, and I'm a DJ.
Programs here are all about positive, hands-on learning with tangible results.
It's an opportunity for them to practice the leadership skills that they've been honing all year. And we do a lot of events, but this is the main one that is put on by students this year.
This year and every year is full of accomplishments for these students.
All celebrate all our differences, and we're all accepting here, and we consider ourselves one big family.
Happy grad!
Christine Long, CTV News.
A Canadian flag stands in front of almost every house on Lynx Close in St. Albert, thanks to the local Rotary Club.
We've got flags in every neighborhood, on almost every street, and if we don't have one on your street, you can go to stalbertrotaryclub.com and sign up for a flag.
For $63 a year, the club drops off a Canadian flag for the weeks of Victoria Day, Canada Day, and Labor Day. More than 600 people participate in the program, which started around 15 years ago. Membership is higher than it's been for years.
It's been brought on because of what has been going on internationally. People want to support their country. I do, for sure.
When you see what's happening in the rest of the world, and you look, the kind of life that we live here and everything else, there's no life better than ours.
Brad St. Pierre doesn't participate in the flag campaign simply because he already has a flag hanging above his garage.
I plan on keeping it up every year, all year. When it starts to fray, I go buy another one, put it up again.
A new survey published by the Angus Reid Institute found that 82% of Canadians are very, somewhat, or just plain proud of being Canadian, a number that drops to 70% in Alberta. One of the research associates involved says national pride has jumped drastically since December, up 11%.
In the wake of Donald Trump's threatening of the 51st state, there's been somewhat of a surge of nationalism and a surge of pride. So we just found that it's somewhat bounced back to the point where now more Canadians are saying they're proud to live in Canada.
A sentiment celebrated on select streets in St. Albert.
There's great patriotism out there right now, which really makes people want to have that flag on their lawn, and we're just so appreciative for the community support.
Merrick Takash, CTV News, Edmonton.
This is my office. I flew this airplane quite a few times, and as a matter of fact, I was the last one to use it.
After a 7,000-kilometer journey from a California scrapyard, retired Captain Robert Pearson reunites with a part of the plane that made him famous 43 years ago.
It's great that this has been salvaged by the museum in Gimli. It's a piece of aviation history. And
what you are looking at is the cockpit from a former Boeing 767 known as the Gimli Glider. Captain Pearson landed safely on a decommissioned airstrip on July 23, 1983. All 69 people on board survived the emergency landing in Gimli during a flight from Montreal to Edmonton after it glided to a stop when the plane malfunctioned and lost fuel.
I must have gone through a range of emotions. Touching down was good. A gentleman came up to me and he said, put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "Captain, that was some feat."
This piece has been collecting dust since 2008 at the Mojave Air and Spaceport in Southern California. Gimli Glider exhibit volunteers had their eye on it since 2017. They raised funds, and thanks to a generous donor, it's now on its way to Gimli. And volunteers like Peter Grant were there to see it through.
Holy mackerel, as soon as I saw the truck coming through the border and I saw the cockpit, my heart started to beat.
Grant said the cockpit will be refurbished and put on display in the coming months. He says he still can't fathom what it took for Pearson to safely land the plane.
A lot of people don't realize the wizardry that Bob Pearson had to have to fly a plane like that with no fuel, no engines. All he had was up, down, left, and right. And he flew the plane for 100 miles with nothing.
But it was all in a day's work, according to a humble Pearson.
My job was to take off and land an airplane full of passengers. And I'm really pleased I could do my job that day.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Emerson.
Known for their 80s hits, Montreal-based band The Box is ready to bring their full repertoire to the opening night of the Ottawa Valley Stomp Music Festival.
In the first half of the show, we're going to do some more recent material, and in the second half, all the old hits for the 80s. So if someone's wondering, you know, is it like if I go see the Police and they don't play Roxanne? No. We do all our old hits from the 80s.
The Box is one of two nostalgic headliners playing in Petawawa this Canada Day long weekend, along with Honeymoon Suite. It's the first year of the brand new Stomp Festival, hoping to grab a foothold in the Ottawa Valley.
We'd never done this before, and this is our hometown, so we thought that we'd bring it here. Everyone's after us to bring it here, and they want to see it. They don't want to have to drive to Ottawa to see a show.
And Petawawa seems ready for its 80s throwbacks.
The anticipation has been building for some time now, so it's great to finally have everything come together, and everybody's really excited about the weekend.
Actually, there are a lot more enthusiasts than the big city, blasé kind of attitude where you really need something hip, otherwise it's not going to work. Here, people, they just love it.
This weekend's weather has put a damper on the festival, forcing the stage to relocate inside the Petawawa Civic Center, which means there is now a cap on tickets for anyone still looking to buy. Organizers say they've sold roughly 1,000 tickets for the three-day festival so far, which is in support of local food banks.
So if you haven't got tickets, you better get them, because we have a capacity here in this building, and we're very close to that now.
The All-Canadian Festival hoping for a successful first year to travel to other Valley communities in the years to come.
I'm hoping that it's more than just a Petawawa celebration, that it's a Renfrew County, Upper Ottawa Valley, that we attract everybody from all around. to come to Petawawa and enjoy all that we have to offer this weekend.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News, Petawawa.
Adesua is 4 years old, and she and the other students at the Little Beginnings Urban Oasis Child Care Center are learning without even knowing it. Their class is filled with sensory items they can play with any time. Adesua's mom says she's noticed her daughter thrive in this environment.
I can confidently say right now she is ready for kindergarten, because when I look at the Alberta curriculum, she knows everything that is expected of her already.
Regda Abouifetwa says the sensory project is a result of her brainstorming with all the educators at the center. She says it has the potential to help every child enrolled here.
Every children have, and even adults, have different learning abilities, different skills. So if you work in advance, you will be most probably preventing challenging behaviors to occur in the school-age children. So you are setting them for success.
She says that after the sensory project was put in place in March, they've seen an 80% drop in challenging behavior from the children, and they're learning to express themselves verbally rather than lashing out.
A couple of parents, especially in the preschool room, they were sharing that their children now are speaking way more, are very expressive. I'm like, here we go. We're so happy with that.
Educators can gauge the energy of the kids and match it to the sensory activities. Lucy Vu is in the room with the youngest children and sees the benefits from the program.
As an educator, we always dream about that one. And now it's come true. Because you know why? The playing sensory equipment, like a light, they support children develop a lot in many aspects.
Aboué Futwa says the sensory project has the potential to identify children with neurodivergent challenges at an early age and get them the help they need to succeed. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
10 years ago, two young men in Sydney, a consulting engineer and a teacher, had a dream.
Myself and Andrew were both homebrewers at the time.
Brian McDonald says he and his eventual business partner, Andrew Morrow, felt an entrepreneurial itch, so they left their jobs and on the final weekend of June 2015 opened the first craft brewery in the Sydney area.
It was difficult. It was definitely a leap. We had a good business plan and a belief in our idea.
Breton Brewing's beginnings were relatively humble, with just two kinds of beer, growlers only, to start out, and a building the two men renovated along the way while selling their first several months' worth of pints. Now their beers are among the best sellers throughout Nova Scotia and the Maritimes.
Because of that support, we've been able to increase our staff to about 30 and employ people here in Cape Breton, and that was our main goal.
There are events happening here all weekend long to celebrate the 10-year anniversary, but the big day is tomorrow, which includes an outdoor concert here headlined by Jordan Musician, the Tom Fun Orchestra, and Rankin McGuinness and the Broken Reeds. No decade in business is without its challenges, and the past one included the COVID-19 pandemic, when Breton and so many others in the industry pivoted to make home deliveries. As for what might be in store for the next 10 years, the two men say something new could be brewing by as soon as this fall.
We're working on a downtown location in Sydney that we have a building that we've been working on retrofitting, so that's kind of the next step with Breton Brewing.
Heading into their big birthday weekend, there may only be one thing left to say.
Here's the 10 years.
Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Coxheath, Nova Scotia.
It will soon be 1 year since 8-year-old Luke Johnson lost his battle with brain cancer. The Port Dover boy had been active throughout his short life, even running a 3-kilometer race just before entering hospice. The picture from that day is now tattooed on his father's arm.
And he was strong. He persevered in the midst of just terribleness of cancer in his brain.
Dan Johnson will carry his son with him as he prepares to cycle between Vancouver and Port Dover in Luke's memory. He'll also raise funds for a new hospice in Norfolk County.
We're not thinking about ourselves anymore. We're thinking about everyone in our community that could be a phone call away from something like this.
Now, if all goes according to plan, the Live Like Luke Canada Crossing will depart the West Coast and arrive in Port Dover 53 days later on August 23rd. Through the support of a long list of sponsors, the Live Like Luke Canada Crossing has been fully funded and has already raised nearly $20,000. The support includes an extensive social media campaign featuring daily videos of the ride on social media channels and the Live Like Luke Johnson website. The goal is for each family in the area to donate $50. Luke's siblings believe it is achievable. They point to the comfort the family received at a Brantford hospice during their brother's final days.
It was so much more calm, and it wasn't so chaotic as the hospital was.
1 year later, as the family prepares to cross Canada together, they'll hold Luke's memory close.
We have sadness and we have good memories. And so, yeah, it's an ongoing journey of grief. It's never going to end.
But through their faith, they believe they'll realize Luke's dream of achieving a legacy just like his hero, Terry Fox, did.
Luke will get across Canada with the help of his dad on a bike, the help of his family, and our whole community behind saying, "Go, Luke, go," and live like Luke.
In Norfolk County, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Shaunavon, a quiet southwestern Saskatchewan town, built on agriculture and oil, but this small town is rooted in history. At its center stands a piece of the past, left vacant and untouched for years.
This is the definition of a neglected building and not an abused building.
The Grand Hotel hasn't lived up to its name in decades. Kent Caremaker plans to change that.
I have everything original to work with, and so the plan is to revitalize every element of the building and put it back into use.
Constructed near the end of the Roaring '20s and the beginning of the Great Depression, the Grand Hotel opened to the public in November 1929, advertising hot and cold water in all 38 rooms, steam heat, and up-to-date furnishings. One could rent a room for just $1.25 per day.
It was run as a hotel by the Chinese family until 1940, when two of them were actually murdered in the front of the hotel.
Just 2 months before the murders, an RCMP officer was shot and killed in the very same spot. His picture still hangs at the front of the hotel. Eventually, the Grand Hotel was turned into an apartment block, known as the Beverly Court.
Lots of people would be using it as a boarding house, as a room to rent, and spend whatever. A lot of what I can recall is that a fair number of them were young women who had come to town to work.
One of the last 2 residents to rent a unit here was Jamie Mercer, who worked in the town at the age of 17.
Looking back, I think, how did I ever stay here by myself? But 17-year-olds are kind of fearless, I guess.
Despite living alone and the building's history, Mercer made the small space her own.
I believe I had a small table right there, bed. Pretty much that was it, a bed. There is a closet, so.
Today, that same second-floor unit, once a home to Mercer, is being restored. Much like other areas in the hotel, Caremaker has already completed work on, entirely on his own.
The roof has been replaced. The bulk of the electrical, including all the switches and boxes and everything, all of the main lines coming through has been done. I've replaced over 40 broken panes of glass, resealed and repainted all of the lower level exterior windows.
With a clear vision for the restoration, Caremaker plans to bring back the Grand Hotel's original 1929 charm.
Black and white maid outfits, and I'll be in a 3-piece suit with a pocket watch fob and everything. I don't want there to be any sign of electronics that didn't exist in 1929. Bathrooms will be shared, with a couple exceptions. Suites have private baths.
With the original 1929 boiler system out of commission, there's no running heat in the building, so work on the restoration is limited to the warmer months. Caremaker expects to have the renovations wrapped up in about 4 years' time, just in time to celebrate a grand reopening on the hotel's 100th anniversary. Angela Stewart, CTV News, Shaunavon.
Last year, both Sudbury and Timmins introduced drone shows instead of fireworks for the first time.
We had a great turnout. However, the feedback from the community was not the greatest. They really wanted fireworks back. So as a result, our council had put forward a motion to put a budget of $100,000. So this year, the committee has decided to go with a larger fireworks show. And we are doing it in the center of our city at Gillies Lake Conservation Area.
Last year we had a 100 drone show that lasted 10 minutes. This year we will have a 300 drone show lasting 15 minutes. Now, not only that, it's also integrated with sound, so there'll be an audible experience as part of that. And then what's also new is that immediately following our drone show, the city of Sudbury will be hosting a fireworks display as well. So really a combination of the two makes it, at least from my perspective, potentially one of Canada Day's longest evening viewings.
As for Sault Ste. Marie, officials say they have considered using drones, but say for half the amount of time of a fireworks show, it's almost quadrupled the price.
A lot of people love the bangs, love the loudness, and the kids love it. But then, people love the drones because of the quick movements and things that you can do as well, so there's so many pros and cons to everything. For us too, our biggest thing is location wise, it would be hard to get enough drones in the area fast enough. And where we are sitting in a pretty tightly restricted airspace too, considering we are right next to the U.S. border.
In North Bay, Canada Day celebrations will also feature fireworks, but officials say they have several drone shows planned throughout the summer to celebrate its centennial.
We have a lot going on. For example, we have a kids zone, we have live music happening. There's also a centennial station with lots of activities, and I know a lot of community partners also have a lot planned, so it's going to be good fun.
No matter the community, many of the Canada Day celebrations feature free activities suitable for all ages. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
Of all the things Jeremy Gervan had been asked to construct in his career, this was a first.
So they asked me to do a cheese curd flinging device.
Could he conceive of some sort of contraption, the local Francophone Association folks wondered, that could pitch fake cheese curds onto a pile of pretend poutine?
I thought this was pretty hilarious, as Canadian as can be.
It was the kind of question that could only be answered with oui, followed by Jeremy finding inspiration in the catapult invented by Leonardo da Vinci.
Because I'm a woodworker, I really came down to the Da Vinci design that uses 2 wooden springs.
Jeremy captured the whole process on camera, from crafting each component from scratch, assembling them all together, and then making countless refinements to make it propel properly.
The biggest challenge was to be able to have enough force without breaking itself.
The troubleshooting process demanded expertise in math, engineering, and physics before Jeremy considered the possibilities of yoga balls, bananas, and water balloons.
As a problem solver, it was those moments that were super interesting and exciting.
After more than 2 months, almost 400 hours, Jeremy finally debuted his device at the Francophone Festival, showcasing how high-density foam, carved to look like curds, could be catapulted about 30 meters into a poutine dish featuring chainsaw-carved faux fries.
Oh, yes! Glad I did it, and the result was fun.
And like the gravy on poutine, the joy these cheese chuckers expressed was the special sauce that made it all complete.
It was an honor to represent the national dish.
Well, his catapult is set to be sold as a fundraiser for the Francophone Society, and he suggests it could be repurposed as a mechanized mascot for a poutinerie, or come Halloween, a propeller of pumpkins. Jeremy hopes his contraption's true legacy is more constructive.
And I hope I can inspire people to be creative and pick up tools.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.